Where in the world is your next teaching breakthrough? Right here in this next session of Teacher Summer Talks. Let's press play and dig in.
Hey team, whether you're sipping your favorite beverage or knocking out a few last-minute PDs, I want to share 3 practical but powerful moves that you can make right now to set yourself up and your students up for success next school year. They're not flashy tips, they're not Instagrammable, but they work. Before we dive in, let me introduce myself. My name is Stephanie DeLussey. I am a veteran special education teacher and your resident IEP coach, here to help you and the rest of the IEP team with all things IEPs and special education. And in this quick teacher summer talk, I'm going to share the 3 tips for special education teachers and IEP teams to set themselves up for success next school year at the beginning of the year. So let's dive in. Number 1, fill in your IEP calendar with due dates. Now, whether you are a special education teacher or a general education teacher, this is for you. Because let's be honest, IEP season is all year long. Whether you are writing IEPs all year or attending IEP meetings all year, or you have it during an IEP season in the spring or in the fall, IEP season is all year long. IEP dates can sneak up on you so fast, especially in the fall when everything's so new, and in the spring when burnout is so real. So before your year even begins, it's important to block out time to map out every IEP due date you have on your calendar. That's your annuals, your re-evals, when progress reports are due, when to do service logs, and even those windows where you want to analyze your data. Your future self is going to thank you so much for mapping it out now. So open up your planner, whether it's digital or paper and pencil, use your sticky notes, whatever it is that you use for lesson planning. You want to go in and plug in all of the IEP due dates for all of the students on your caseload or in your classroom for this school year. Annual reviews should be on there, your 3-year reevaluations, service logs, progress reports, when you're meeting with the rest of the IEP team to analyze data and look at everything. You want to look up each student's current IEP due date and then either count 60, 90, or even 30 days backwards to give yourself that time of when you're going to start writing that IEP and collaborating with the IEP team. You want to block off your prep days to gather data, write those draft and proposed IEP goals, those draft present levels, hold those pre-IEP meetings with parents and other service providers, and just generally set calendar alerts for yourself so nothing falls through the crack. A bonus move here is using a visual tracker or a spreadsheet so that you can see your IEP caseload all at a glance. So kind of like an IEP snapshot, but an IEP caseload at a glance so you can see everything all at once on one sheet of paper. That way, if you have 5 IEPs due in the same week in October, you can plan ahead and pace yourself. It's about building in that breathing room. A pro tip here, you can color code them by student or month. If you know anything about me and my love for color coding, you know that this is one of my favorite game-changing methods to use for anything classroom related. Then you can also count backwards from each meeting and then build in reminders to collect data, collaborate with team members, and use your color coding to mark them on your calendar as well. This is going to help you reduce that panic that sets in when an IEP is due. It's going to give you time to actually think about the goals that you're going to choose and write for those students, and it's going to help you stay in compliance without absolutely losing your mind. This is so important and so powerful because you're not going to be scrambling last minute. You can be more intentional, more thoughtful, and write those strengths-based, student-centered IEP goals. And that means better outcomes for your students because when the IEP is truly individualized, it's not rushed. Back to school tip number 2 is meet with all of your team members. Now, each of your IEP teams is going to have different members. If you're working with different grade levels, you may have some IEP teams that are the same or work with a couple of general education teachers. For all of your students or general education teachers, if you're listening, you might be working with one special education teacher. It's time to meet with this person or these people because special education is a team sport. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. As the special education teacher, you are relying on speech therapists, OTs, paras, the general education teachers, administrators, school psychs, the diagnosticians, and so many more people to help you implement and take data on the single IEPs every single day. And those relationships are strongest when they're built intentionally before the chaos of the school year hits. So what I want you to do is either text these IEP team members, send them a quick email, and see if you can schedule a quick coffee and collaboration type of meeting with each team member, or see when they're going to be at the school setting things up and see if you can go in and meet with them and talk to them for a couple of minutes. You want to talk about what worked well last year, what would make communication easier this year, what is your preference for how communication can happen? Is that email? Is that text? Is that in person? And how can I support you with our shared students? Because remember, special education students are general education students first. A bonus move here is to create a quick reference sheet that includes your students' accommodations, their goals, their service minutes, so everyone is on the same page for day one. So like we talked about that caseload, IEP caseload at a snapshot for you, you could create this for everyone that your students are in their class, for all of your general education teachers, and have all of the students in their class on one sheet so they can see everything, or print out those IEP snapshots individually for each student in those classrooms. So before the back to school chaos starts and sets in, again, carve out that time to sit with gen ed teachers. You also want to meet with those related service providers and your paraprofessionals, even if it's just like a 5, 10, 15 minutes touch base where you can build that shared trust, shared understanding, and be really intentional with setting and paving the way for the next school year. When you start with collaboration, implementation becomes smoother and your team is more invested in the IEPs that you write and that they have to implement, because they had a voice in it from the beginning. This is so powerful because when team members feel respected and included, implementation improves. And when implementations improve, that's when we see our students' success and our students really shine. But also when issues then pop up, because you know that they will, you already have a strong foundation of trust to lean on with the rest of your IEP team members. Tip number 3, attach yourself to grade level lesson plans, whether that is through the lesson planning platform that your school uses, or if you're just asking the teacher to send you an email, whenever they finish their lesson plans for that week. Hey, just send me an email. Let me know what you're working on, or what curriculum, what are you using? What lesson are we in? What thematic unit are you having this week? This matters because IEP goals are generally aligned to grade level standards, right? We are using those prerequisite skills to master those grade level standards for our students with IEPs. But when it comes to lesson planning and the grade level curriculum, our general education teachers are the masters, the experts of that content and of those grade level standards. And us as special education teachers, we're often left what's wondering and what's happening in general education classrooms. And if you're a resource teacher or even a self-contained teacher and you have students in multiple grade levels, you have multiple grade levels that you have to keep up with and keep in track with. What are they learning? What lesson are we on? What are we doing this week? And so it's really easy to just ask to have yourself attached to their lesson plans, not so that you can micromanage, but so that you can see what they're working on, so you can supplement that in your classroom and try to work on the same thing. So for example, if they have an Apple unit this week, maybe in your classroom or in your resource room, you can have things that are Apple themed. So the more plugged in you are, the more intentional your instruction is going to become with your students. So ask your grade level teams, ask admin, ask your general education teachers, hey, can I get access to your Google Drive lesson plans? Or when do you meet for planning? May I come to your planning meetings? Would it help if I sat in on planning once a month to better support our shared students? Can you just attach me, let me know what lessons we're doing or what activities you're working on, all of those things. This allows you to then also, for your students who are in that general education classroom, identify those prerequisite skills for your students that are participating in that lesson. You can then embed your IEP goals directly into classroom activities, especially if you're pushing in or if you're pulling out. You can work on IEP goals directly in that instruction. Or when you are working in small group with your students, you can relate it through prerequisite skills and grab those IEP goals. You can coordinate with those general education teachers on accommodations and which SDI is working, what's not working, what SDI is most critical that we need to target. You also then know what assessments are coming up, what projects or big events are due, so that you can prep your students in advance and really give them their accommodations and modifications. You cannot align IEP goals to standards and curriculum if you don't know what the standards look like in action or when they're being taught. So ask for access to your students' grade level teacher lesson plans, or better yet, just embed yourself into the lesson planning process with your general education teachers. This helps you write goals and make sure that you're compliant, but also aligned and relevant to what your students are learning in that general education classroom. This is so powerful because it keeps your instruction purposeful, it keeps your goals meaningful, and your collaboration with those general education teachers stronger. It's also going to earn you some serious street cred with the gen ed teachers that you're working with when they see that you're supporting the work that they're doing in their classroom and real life work outside of the classroom. And remember, we want to work on generalization of skills. That's how we know students have truly mastered skills, is when they can show generalization of it. And man, it's just going to build that rapport with your gen ed teachers so much quicker. Now, as you move into the next school year, just know that you don't need to have every bulletin board up, every bin labeled, or Pinterest perfect, or every system perfected in your classroom. What you do need, though, is a plan and a good starting point that's going to help you lead your IEP teams with confidence and clarity. So this year, let's work smarter, not harder. Let's build systems that support students and ourselves. And always let's remind ourselves that we were never meant to do this alone. We should not be IEPing alone. You've got this. You're ready for not just the back to school season, but you're going to be now intentionally equipped for it. Don't aim for perfection, aim for preparedness. Small actions now, like calendaring your IEP, starting these conversations, plugging into lesson plans, is going to really create that momentum that's going to last. Your students deserve that calm, confident, collaborative IEP team, and you're already that person by just showing up today. So let's make this school year one where we don't just survive, where we're intentionally going to thrive.
What a great session. If this talk gave you full Mr. Feeney energy, now's your moment to keep the learning going by applying for that scholarship. Links in the show notes, email, and Facebook group. Winners get access to the Back to School Success course, and we announce them live June 26th. No commercial break needed.